And welcome back to Survivor Hot Takes. This is the pre-finale panel / a review of the last episode, but we'll just kind of mix it in together. We are joined today, as always, by Emily. Emily, how are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm really excited. I feel like this season just flew by. And I guess, it is true, like time flies when you're having fun. It was a great season. So really excited to have two incredible guests here today and just kind of be able to pick their brains about how we think this is going to pan out.
Emily, if you want to make the next introduction.
Certainly. Coming from everywhere, we have people from our back door, which is Kayla. Hey, Kayla. Is it this way or this way? I don't know. Hey, Kayla, how are you?
Hi. Oh, I'm good.
Perfect. Kayla, can you believe what the journey it's been? You started with us at the preseason, and now you're here at the very end of this journey. Has any of your predictions changed so far?
Yeah, basically all of them. So
perfect. That's like the mark of a good season. That's
yeah, it was a really good season. I can't believe it's already over too. I'm upset.
I'm crying. So sad.
And we're also joined by Chris from the Nullified Take. Back after, I want to say, maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. I know it's been a while. I think it was around last summer, maybe early fall. Doesn't really matter. Chris, how's the Nullified Take going, and how are your predictions for the season so far?
It's been a minute, but this is where it all started for me, Drew. When I first started podcasting, it was on this channel. That's why whenever I get the invite, I'm always more than happy to come back and talk about the show that I love. The Nullified Take channel is doing good. We've continued to grow. I think a big part of the growth of our channel has been the last Australian Survivor season, which if you haven't watched Australian Survivor yet, you guys should all go and watch it. The last season was absolutely mental, heroes versus villains. So that was such a good season to cover, and I think it brought a lot of new fans to the channel as well. But I've been loving Survivor recently. If you had me on maybe pre-merge, I would have been a bit lower on it. But since the merge, I think things have turned around quite a bit, and that's because finally we're getting to see these players play.
Yeah, and I would say that there's only been one outright bad episode of this season, and that'd be the Matthew boot for me, or the Matthew, the Franny and Matt, his boot, mainly because of, and what we're going to see later, based off of what happened in the last episode, it did smarten up the players because they brought all their stuff to Tribal Council because they knew that they were going to pull some mess on them. So sorry it had to be Matt to teach them that lesson, but they learned it. And now we go into the finale. But we want to start off from what happened last week. And it was pretty, at this point, it feels like the final three is going to be Carson, Jam Jam, and Carolyn. But we know that's probably not going to happen, mainly because Heidi is winning. Emily, where are we at now? Just talking about this specific episode. Where are we at? Did you think that at any point during the episode that they might flip something and take out a Carolyn or a Carson?
Besties, it was tense. I think that honestly, the biggest lead, I felt like I was gaslit because I genuinely thought that Carolyn during that tribal council was toast. You could see that at least if it wasn't actually going to be Jamie, that Jam Jam was completely contemplating his choices in that moment and recognizing who's the appropriate person to send home and how it would better his game. And I think that we're really hinting at a Tika collapse in the final five. So I personally feel like after what we saw this last episode, that the next person to go is going to be Carson, because in every person's game would benefit the most from Carson leaving. And then the challenge that they're advertising looks pretty physical, and he tends to do better with the mental challenges. So I know that kind of sounds like I'm kind of word vomiting, but I just have lots of feelings about this. I have lots of things to say.
Listen, we need to work through this, Em. We need to get it all out. I've got a lot of thoughts. I've got a lot of feelings about this as well. I thought this was Yam Yam's episode. The whole season, I've been a Yam Yam true believer, thinking he's winning this season. But now I'm wondering, is this his moment? Was this that Marianne moment where she took out Omar and he didn't take it? Because he realizes that she's a threat. Everybody now realizes Carolyn's a threat. The edit has shown us that she potentially is the biggest player this season. and he had an opportunity to blindside her here. So I'm really interested to know what is your thoughts, Coach? Do you think that this puts Yam Yam in a bad spot moving forward, or was the risk low because Carolyn hasn't proven herself in immunities yet?
I loved so Jam Jam was right. Carolyn shouldn't have. She should have just kind of shut the fuck up when they got back to camp, and she didn't. She just kept going. And I love the way they edited it to make it look like she rambled on forever, which for all we know, she could have. And you see this. Oh, we get this confessional. Finally, we get a confessional where someone says, "I've always knew that Carolyn was a threat." Now, for all we know, Jam Jam has been having those confessionals all season, but this is one of the first times that we've gotten it. And he, along with other people, are trying to say, yeah, wow, Carolyn actually has been playing us into this entire time. Maybe we should do something about it. And I will honestly say, when I saw the second Carolyn pop up, I was like, oh, okay, you know what? This sucks. But I didn't expect her to make it all the way to the end, even though I knew that she was playing well. But it's not going to be a surprise. And then, the biggest surprise was the fact that they actually did just vote Jamie. So I do think that Jam Jam probably should, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to do it at 5. Maybe he was waiting for an odd number to flip the vote on Carson or Carolyn. In that case, I'll sit here next week and be like, you know what? Good on you. But until then, it's like, oh God, like I still think he has a good chance of winning too. That's not me saying, well, he screwed himself, because he didn't. But who knows? Kayla, where are we at now for you? Starting the season off to now, how has it got? Are any of your people still here? First of all, but secondly,
Heidi is one of my people.
Heidi's only. Oh, the Pittsburgh, is it the Pittsburgh thing?
No, I liked her. She was like, I think she's like one of the least annoying females, to be honest.
Okay. So going into the episode, what were you thinking? Do you think that Carolyn could potentially be the target, or did you feel like these three are going to stick together no matter what?
I thought Carolyn was gonna go home like a bunch of times. I feel like she's in it for the long haul now, to be honest. Like, I really do. I don't think she's getting out. I think Lauren would have got out before her. I think they would turn. I don't think that's smart at all, but I think it would be those last three. I don't know. That's just my opinion, because I thought Jam Jam and Carolyn would go out by now, but they haven't. So I think something else is keeping them. So I think they're going to make it to fire at least.
And I also feel like Lauren's won her second immunity in this last episode. If Lauren goes on a immunity streak from 5 to 3, that gives her 4, and I'm pretty sure that ties the record for women. At least I think the record is 4 for women, and that's a very compelling argument in of itself. I think that everyone in the game that are still left in the game, I still think that there's a possibility that all of them could win. I still think Heidi's going to win, but Emily, why is Heidi not going to win?
I'm not saying that she's not going to win, because I definitely think that she has a possibility. I think the big thing that I'm looking at with Heidi, what I'm looking for a potential winner, is the access that she has to this other idol. I know they were hinting they were looking for the idol. It's not seen if they have it or if they don't. So I'm wondering if we're going to get like a shock value situation. And then I know, Andrew, you've refused to watch On Fire with Jeff Probst, but I'll give you the spoilers because you should watch it. He mentioned that there is definitely an idol present in this new camp. I know, spoilers. Can you believe?
Oh my God.
So that's really going to help to kind of diversify and like differentiate who we think is the logical order of like booting from here to now. I'm not sure if Heidi's going to make it. Like, to be honest, like, I don't think that it was the wrong move, but I feel like it was a little bit less flashy for her to incorrectly play an idol, like, quote unquote, because it showed like her read on the social situation that was present at that time. And I would have really liked to see just like more dynamics in her strategic game. I just don't think that we've seen enough of that for me to be able to leverage her win. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't think Heidi like can win against the Tika 3. I think
Right.
her only bet is to sit next to someone else. And now that they've lost Jamie, that means whoever of the Tika 3 makes it to the final, even if it's Lauren and Heidi there with her, they're most likely going to take the crown. And that's where the real, I mean, the whole edit has sort of shown us the Stooges. It has shown us this battle between Ratu and Sokka since the merge, and the fact that they've been playing them off against each other. So from a storytelling perspective, it just wouldn't make sense. Now, obviously, Survivor's done things like that before, where they brought winners out from nowhere, but I don't think that that's going to be this season. That's not taking anything away from Heidi, because I've really enjoyed her, and I do think she's got a lot of game to her. But she doesn't have any real story at the end to tell when it comes to actually running the game and strategically being in control of her own fate in the game, which I believe that the Tika 3, all three of them have got it. It's whoever survives out of those three at the end that'll take the crown. So for me, the real question is who of the Tika 3 is winning at this stage? And I know you say that Lauren can still go and win some immunities, get to the end, have 4 immunities, but I just don't think that the immunities will be seen as more important than the strategic game that Tika played, because Tika was 3 coming into this merge. They were the minority tribe coming into this, and somehow they found their way to the end in a game where Jamie has claimed that alliances does not exist anymore, but this alliance has stood tall throughout this season.
And we finally see people trying to say, oh yeah, we got to get rid of one of the Tika people. It's like,
yeah. And the only
right.
person like really leveraged that threat where you see that consistently is Lauren, but she can't use that again to leverage her win because she wasn't able to succeed in getting one of those 3 out to be able to break up that alliance before they were in the minority. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What looks even worse for me on Lauren and Jamie, and it's been confusing for me since the merge, what looks worse for me is the fact that Carson specifically has played them, and Yam Yam, I've seen Yam Yam as Carson's lieutenant throughout the whole season, and I do think Carson is playing the best game out of the 3, even though they're all playing really good games. It's just something about Carson's edit is telling me he's not winning this season and that he's going to fall somewhere. And there's a lot of speculation online about the fire in his glasses. Is that a symbol that he's going to go out and, his game's going to go out in flames? And it's possible. I mean, or they could just be putting it out there as a red herring. Like, we don't know.
But, no, let me believe the fake. I just want to believe all the fallacies right now. I love the theories.
There's so many theories. There's even the theory out there that Carson is going to win the final immunity and then he's going to go make fire against someone and lose. So there's so many theories out there at the end of the day. Yeah. But I do think Carson's played a really, really strong game, and Yam Yam has been that second in charge to his game. But they kind of led both Lauren and Heidi to believe that they were going to play with them instead of Carolyn. And I don't know where, what type of salespeople are they? Cody would have been proud. He would have been scared of these salespeople out there that could convince these 2 Ratu members that they were going to turn their back on Carolyn, because logically it just doesn't make sense to me how they were able to pull the wool over their eyes, basically.
Kayla, of the Tika 3, how many of them are making it to Final 3?
I feel I feel like Carolyn has just been the obvious choice throughout. She's gotten the best at it, everything. We always see her talk. Is she gonna win because it's the most obvious? I don't know. I think Carson has played the best game. He got Carolyn to use an idol on him. I feel like he is able to play people better than the other 2. I don't think Jam Jam has done enough moves, but I think that making fire will be Heidi and Carson, and I think Jam Jam and Carolyn will be in the final.
Kayla, I want to jump on this and just say I'm going to bring my hot take for the episode right now. If Carolyn wins this season, my favorite season is Kage-yan. But if Carolyn wins this season, it is going to rival Kage-yan for me. It's going to be right up there as one of the best seasons of Survivor we've ever seen. This franchise needs a Carolyn win this season. I'm standing her, and I really wanted to win. Now, do I think she's going to win? I don't know. But the best thing that can happen to Survivor is Carolyn winning this season in my mind.
I wonder, because I feel like the more that I think about it, and we talked this before we went live, but I would say I'm 80% confident that Jam Jam, the season is his, just based on how the jury reacts to all of his responses, based on how well he's featured. And
you think so? Jam Jam?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Based on him versus Carolyn's perception and relation to all the jury. That's kind of what I'm thinking. However, the way that Carolyn's been edited has been just glorious, almost as glorious as Jesse has been edited, just really strategic, well thinking that they were one step ahead of everyone. But that worries me for the same reason that Jesse's edit worried me. Does that make sense? So yeah.
And Em, I want to jump on that. I'm with you. I think this is
Yeah.
Yam Yam season. I've been thinking it's Yam Yam season before the merge. I've been really onto the editors because consistently when things happen to Yam Yam, we always get an edit that needs us to empathize with him or sympathize with him. Like
Yes.
when Carolyn went against him and they voted out Sarah, we get to hear more from Yam Yam why it's a bad thing that he got betrayed more than what Carolyn's perspective is being told to us from a storytelling perspective. And that's what I always look at. I know that looking at the edit, looking at the storytelling, it's not sexy to look at that. But for us that, are podcasters and analyze the show, we take note of these little things. And that's been consistent throughout Yam Yam's story because I think that, you mentioned something there about Carolyn being the strategic person and having these great strategic insights into the game. That is something she legitimately has. The editors they're basically just showcasing it, but she's got that skill. Now, from Yam Yam's point of view, I haven't seen the same awareness from him in the edit, but yet they're telling us socially he's great. People love him socially. They give him the edit to say people that have voted against me, they're now on my hit list. I'm going to start taking them down one after the other. We don't get him saying anything about his cerebral awareness of Carolyn being a threat until the very end of the game. Why is that? Is he really as good of a player as Carolyn? Now, this is where the whole thing comes in about does the best player always win, right? I personally believe Carolyn's been the standout player. The biggest flaw that Carolyn's got and the biggest problem she's got going into the final is, will other people be able to look past her quirkiness? Will they be able to, really respect the game she's played? Because we're seeing an edited show. They're not seeing that. They don't know how good she's been. For all they know, she's making up stories about how she did all these different things prior to the merge. And that's my real worry. It's always been about, will they give her credit at the end?
Right.
And I would be devastated if she ends up going to the end with Yam Yam and loses to him at this stage. Because I haven't seen the move that Yam Yam has made. And I don't hate Yam Yam. He was my number one pick. He was my number one pick for the draft. So it would be the first time ever we do fantasy drafts on the Nullified Take channel every season. We've never had a first pick win. So if he does win, people will probably say I knew something. I didn't. We've never had that happen. But it would be pretty cool for bragging rights to say I picked him as my first draft pick.
Yeah, he decided to poop in the ocean,
Yeah, he's a lovable character.
What a glow up, know?
That's the thing is, and going back to the whole Kagayan thing, we've talked about this before on, I don't know what season that we were on, how characters don't usually win the show. It's usually everyone else, and the characters are there so that we can get them again in whatever All-Star season we get. And now we're at a point where a character could realistically win a season, much like they did in Kagayan.
Third time in a row, though, because I would argue Gabler was a character, and I would argue that Marianne was a character. So
Marianne was definitely
interesting.
Yeah.
And it looks
you can't deny, like Carolyn, Gabler's edit changed somewhat after the merge, and he became a little bit, like you said, he submerged himself. But prior to that, he was a big character.
Pre-merge. Yeah, he was a character pre-merge. Yes, right. I feel like
I don't want to make it a Gabler podcast, by the way, but I'm just saying that three.
I'm talking about like larger than life characters. Yeah.
Right.
So like a coach or something like that. Those people don't normally win. We get Tony. We get kind of Tyson, but the season that he won, he wasn't really a larger than life character. We don't really get characters winning the season. So like if we do get a Carolyn win, I could see. I mean, it's not going to be top 5 or whatever. Chris said might be in contention for top 1 or up there. Carolyn wins this season is my favorite post 40 season and is probably in my top 15. Because like I said, I besides the episode that Matthew went home, I think that's been I know that people just love shitting on everything post 40 as if it's not real. And I understand that there are some aspects that are, I get their reasoning behind it, but I do feel like this season has the potential of at least challenging 43 in my opinion, or 42 in my opinion, of being the best post 40 season, and therefore in my top 10 to 15. But what needs to happen in the finale? And we'll first let's go to the tribal council of this last episode before we jump to the finale. Tribal council happens. I have no issues with idols being played to get you to 5. Like I understand, she could have done something else. She could have played it for Jamie. But I feel like at that point in the game with limited options, you almost just want to just get me to tomorrow and then we'll figure it out at 5, almost. Caleb, what are your thoughts on Heidi playing it specifically just for herself? Do you think she could have pulled something off, or do you think it would have been smart if she did?
I hate when people play for other people. I honestly hate it.
I agree.
I think it's so stupid. And that might just be my own opinion, but like, why would you give something away? I have no idea that would get you to the end in a game. I get it that like they could have got someone else out, but if Heidi would have went home for some reason, I don't know, that really does annoy me. Like, why you would throw a shot away? I have no idea. So I'm fine with her playing it for herself, but yeah, it didn't really do anything. So
I
it
feel
might
like
have been the wrong time.
I agree with you. Like in I would say like 99.9% of all circumstances, like with that, like I feel like one of the number one rules is if you have that lifeline, do not throw it at someone else, especially in this. But like I feel like when you get down to like a situation where you're literally 3-3, like it's 50-50, you only have one more time to throw it, and the best time you can throw it is to assure that 50% of the people that you're playing against are 100% concrete threats. Maybe in that circumstance, if she knew that Jamie was the threat, that would have been the right move, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I think that like right now it was just more so utilized because her name's always been thrown out. And that's also an understandable use of it. I just wish that it was able to grab the jury's attention in a more prominent way.
Yeah, like it would have been smart to keep those 3. I forgot who would have gone out if she used it on Jamie.
Right.
Who do you got? Who got
Carolyn would have gone home in that situation.
Yeah.
So that would have been a huge move. So then maybe I'm wrong.
Like that's like
to use it on Jamie.
I love the whole storyline that we just had there in like the last 2 minutes. It's like, no, playing idols are stupid for other people, but
I usually agree with that.
Like Carolyn would have went home because she's the biggest one, and then like would Jamie have won? I don't think Jamie was gonna win the game, so it would have been
gonna win the game.
a huge play then. For Heidi.
Actually, a lot of people loved Jamie out there. So you've got to understand that they were telling us a story with Jamie in regards to her not being a threat because they knew she wasn't going to win the game. But from what I've seen and what I've read outside of the game, people loved Jamie. And socially, she could rival Yam Yam, apparently, out there. So I think she was a bigger threat than what people probably thought, and it's because we're made to believe she got the fake idol. You know, they play the dodo music every time she talks, and but one of the things that really stood out to me on the podcast, and we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago when they did the yoga outside, and this is how you know if a player is liked or not, right? Because she was out on the beach, she was leading it, they were doing this Pilates, this yoga, and a lot of people like myself probably wouldn't want to do it. Like, I'm not a yoga kind of person, but everybody participated and they were all sharing and they were like really lapping it up. And I don't think that you would go and join in or be as receptive to it if you didn't like the person who's leading it. So I think that was a little subtle hint to her probably being socially quite ingrained within that team. I did want to talk about Heidi's idol play because we had people in our live when we were talking about it saying that, you know, it was a bad move for Heidi to play it in the way that she did. But I think that's very results focused. And I think sometimes we as super fans or fans of the show, we're very results focused, right? And we get to see the edit. We know what could have happened if she played the idol on Jamie, but we forget that Jamie and Lauren's been gunning for Heidi for a couple of tribal councils now. So, I mean, they just sort of isolated themselves in a way where Heidi didn't feel like she could even talk to them. So Heidi clearly just wanted to focus on getting to the next round with Tika at this point. And you could say that's bad gameplay by Heidi, but I think it's a shared bad gameplay by all 3 of the ladies in regards to that. It's not just the Heidi issue. And if you've copped votes, like if I've copped votes for the last 2 tribal councils and I've held on to that bad boy for 2 tribal councils, you bet your bottom dollar I'm playing my idol in that situation because there's a good chance I'm getting votes again and I'm going home. So I feel like in that situation, yes, was it the optimal move? No. But if you've got an idol, it's end game, you got to play it. Like how many lives, you know, does she have in the game when she's been copping votes? I think you can only go by the information you know, and that's the people have been lying to you. Even the likes of the Tika 3 have been lying to her in regards to where the votes have been going. So I don't think she felt safe at all. And I would rather be the fool who played the idol when I didn't need it, than the fool that has the idol in my pocket leaving tribal council, because they don't even give you the idol anymore. They keep that bad boy for Ghost Island too. So you don't even get like a great souvenir.
Let's say that if the rumor and innuendo from Jeff's podcast is true,
true,
and it's on. There's something on this idol. There's an idol on this island that they're about to go to, and we'll just jump right into the finale. First off, what aspects of the last 3 finales do you think we are getting back? Do you think it's going to be the exact same thing as far as there's going to be the search for, like, we're going to get this, we have to decode this, we have to find this is going to help me in this challenge, all of that. We get rid of the first or second biggest threat, and then just hope that the next biggest threat doesn't win at 4, so we can go to fire and get rid of them. And we go into a finale with 3 people that we actually have to sit there and figure out, oh, which one of these 3 is going to win. We'll kind of just go in a square. Just what do you think, without saying who you think is going to win ultimately? What do you think happens in the finale? We'll go based off of where you are on my screen. So, Kayla, what do you need for this finale to be in order for you to say, yeah, this was a great season, or this was a season, or whatever? What needs to happen in the finale for you?
Oh, well, I don't want Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson all be in there personally. I don't. I think a better finale would be a split. I don't want the obvious choices. I don't want them. That's just how I am. I don't
like just the episode in general, just the final 5 until the final 3.
Wait, what? Sorry.
This is the final episode in general. So like final 5 until final 3. What needs to happen in just the episode for,
like, in terms of like advantages, idols, like that kind of stuff?
Oh, like if there is another idol?
Yeah,
no.
like
Can I go last?
I just want to jump in, Kayla, and say, I know you said you don't want the Tika 3 to get to the end, but for me, the ideal situation is all 3 of them get to the end. It's a split vote. We get Dom and Wendell 2.0, and then the third person needs to break the tie. Who do they choose? Like, if it's Carolyn that has to break the tie, she gets 0 votes, and it's between Yam Yam and Carson. Will she vote for her pal Yam Yam that she's been with this whole time and they've had this love-hate relationship? Or does she vote for young Carson, who she's also formed a strong bond with and she's played an idol? Or it doesn't matter, what order that is in. Even if it's a Yam Yam and a Carolyn, who does Carson vote for? I want to see that difficult choice being put on someone out of that Tika 3 at the end. I think that would be poetic at the end to see an ending like that, But if it's a blowout and Yam Yam just ends up blowing it out, winning it against them, then yeah, I agree with you. We probably need to see a little bit more. But to answer your coach, to answer your question, for me, I feel like no one fully has this game yet in lock. So for me, for this end game to be exciting, I need to see personally for Yam Yam, I need to see him take the shot at Carolyn. I don't want Carolyn to go out in a way where people don't respect her game, because she deserves better than that. And I want Yam Yam to own a big move, which I haven't felt like he's owned that move yet this season. That's going to make him a great winner. So I want to see him get that. Or the same for a Carolyn or a Carson at some point. I need to see them really take this game on. I think Carolyn's had a moment by playing the idol, even though she didn't need to play it. It's because Jamie and Lauren didn't do the right thing. It was more bad on them for not playing it correctly than it was for Carolyn. And I feel like the jury really respected her playing that idol, and they suddenly started noticing her. So I feel like she's had her moment yet at this point, but she could still go and take out Carson, for instance, who she sees as a big threat, to add to her resume at the end. And I need to see that more than the twist. The twist to me, having another idol, it's too late in the game. Why are we putting another idol into the game? The best part of the merge has been the fact that they've done away with all the silly twists. And we've just allowed for the players to play the game and strategically really, show us what they're capable of. We've actually allowed them to play the game. So for me, coach, I don't like all these twists. I do think creatively they'll probably stick to the same format, because let's be honest, has Survivor mixed it up for the last 4 seasons? You say that Matthew is the person, or Matt was the person who gave them the idea to bring all this stuff to Tribal Council. I say it is laziness on production and the fact that they knew that it was going to happen based on the fact that it happened the first 3 seasons out there. So I don't know. I'm severely disappointed. I'm a little bit heated right now because, you get Carson going out there. Carson's like 3D printing all the puzzles. And they're like celebrating him. And they're like, oh, this is a good thing. I'm like, no, this is bad. It shows how creatively you're tapped out right now, Jeff. You need to up your game. You need to bring better puzzles that they can't game. And you need to change the game up in a smart way, not throwing 10 different twists in the game and hoping that something sticks. Sorry, I was a bit heated there, Coach.
No, you deserve to be.
I've gotten heated on this many times.
Chris, this is why I love your answer, because I agreed with every single thing you said. And this is an exciting moment for us because normally I feel like we don't always see eye to eye, which I love. But like, I agree with you. I think that like this season I've loved so much because with the exception of like the Matt Blankenship, like situation, like we were able to actually see players play the game in a way that it was meant to be. And like, I've loved seeing less of the idols, obviously by a fault of error, everyone was getting voted out with them, and a lot of less of the fake idols with them out without being used, which I've loved. I wouldn't hate seeing another advantage, like towards a challenge, like having like all the non-specified, like something minuscule like that for them to give them at least a little bit of a leeway, but giving them that much power in the final 5 to me is like an equal of like Edge of Extinction, where they bring someone in the final 6, even though they were voted out like 3rd, like and just letting them do whatever they want to do with it. It's not specifically targeted, but like I personally feel like it's balances, and I really feel that it's like giving people that power without giving them too much, because a lot of the power lies within you to make you the sole survivor. So I'd really like to see that. And I would love to see a dissolve of the Tika 3. I think, like I mentioned before, like they're really hinting at it, but it's exactly what you said, Chris, too. Like they keep hinting, and that's whoever decides to take out one of them, that's going to be the last move to smack on their resume and hand to the jury. Because at this point, like they needed those 3 to survive until this point, but now it's game over. One of them has to go in that final 5, and that person has to be Carson,
And it's going to be Heidi that pulls the move off, so that when she sits in the, oh my gosh, I'm telling you that Heidi is getting the Erica edit, and when I will message all 3 of you when the moment that I'll take a video like I did when Gatewinner won, and I'll send it, and I'll make sure. Hey, you guys remember when I said that Heidi was after So everyone that's been watching, my story has been, I picked Franny to win because everyone picked Franny to win. But as the episodes started coming out, it's like, I feel like Heidi's getting like there's something there with the edit. And the last time I felt like this, as far as the edit was concerned, was maybe Marianne at final 5 or 6. Like, it's usually late in the season when people start to pick up on these things. Having said all that, going into the finale, let's say that they do a challenge advantage. Let's say they give them a challenge advantage. I'm fine with that. Challenge advantages they do help, but it's not the same as giving them an idol or an extra vote or something crazy to determine the actual vote itself. So I think we'll get that. I think that we may get another Lauren immunity win. I mean, it's not like everyone out there is, has been racking up the immunity challenges. So I do feel like Lauren could potentially get another win. Anyone can. I don't think it wouldn't be surprising if any of them won. From there, I think we're all on the same page with this. At Final 5, a ticket member has to flip. I think that it really doesn't matter who flips, because I do feel like our perceptions and their perceptions kind of relate, as far as all 3 of them think that another one of the 3 is a threat. And all it takes is one of those 3 to flip and say, hey, let's get rid of one of these 3 now, because they know that they're probably still going to have the other left over, the other Tika member that's left out of the vote over. They're going to say, hey, come back. I'm sorry. We have to do it. And, I need to do it for myself and blah, blah, blah. From there, Final 4, I think that there will be a Tika member sitting at the fire making challenge against someone else. And I honestly think that there will only be one Tika member at final three.
You think that both Tikas are going to be voted out, like for 5 and
No,
4?
not final. Oh, well, not voted out. I think one voted out, one loses at fire.
Okay.
And we get a Lauren, Heidi. We could get an all-women final three.
If we do, could you guys imagine? I'd be so happy.
But let's say that it's Lauren, Heidi, and Carolyn. Carolyn beats Carson because apparently there's this Flames thing is like a conspiracy theory. I haven't heard about this at all. When did this become a thing?
Oh, it's been the whole season.
Yeah, they hinted. You'll love this, Drew, because you're convinced Heidi's
I
gonna
won't
win.
love this.
No, you will. Here it comes. So they showed Heidi, the first edit she got was her lighting the fire. And then, whenever they got her flashback, it was of her making fire, and
Practicing
they keep
it,
foreshadowing that Carson is going to go to fire by the fire always being in the reflection in his glasses, and then him always standing by and staring at the fire. I'm buying it. It's happening.
And it's every time he talks about his game. It's like I've got the perfect game. I'm controlling everybody right now, and then they show the flames. So people are like, that means his game is going to go up in flames. This perfect game that he's playing. It's interesting because you mentioned that all of them see each other as threats. The only person that is not verbalized, he probably has, but we haven't seen it in a confessional yet, is Carson. He hasn't said who he sees as a threat between the two Tikas, which to me signifies he does not get to the end because he hasn't said he hasn't said Carolyn or Yam Yam is my biggest threat. But Yam Yam has said, I need to get rid of Carolyn, and Carolyn has said, I need to get rid of Carson. So it's interesting. So I just don't know who's going first. I don't know if it's Carolyn or if it's Carson. But in my mind, I know you said you've been on Franny. I wasn't with you on that when you say everybody saw her as the winner. I don't know. I've really, like I said earlier, I've consistently have thought Yam Yam's got a good shot. And I don't know if it's because I picked him first, so that meant that I've been looking out for these things specifically. But I've really just thought that we've got a story there. He's been telling us his story this whole season. Jeff says that winners' edits don't exist. I don't believe that. Yam Yam's edit looks like a winner's edit to me, like a classical winner's edit.
See, we get each other.
Again on the chat, and apparently we end up having a Gabon discussion in there, which is so fun. Y'all have at it in there. So
that's a battle for another day, Coach.
Yeah. When I do 50 and 50 in a couple of years, and I get to the Gabon season, I'll make sure to invite the entire chat back to that. So we get to the finale, or we get to the final three. Who do we want to win, and who do we think is going to win? Outright, who do we want to win? Who do we think is going to win? Kayla, starting with you.
I want Heidi to win. I do. I don't want Tikas to win. I don't know why. I don't find Jam Jam as endearing as you guys for some reason. I think he's sneaky. I know that'll be my hot take for today, but I don't find him endearing. I think he's sneaky. I don't think he's that nice.
So, Kayla, you're more for hero's girl than a villain's girl. Is that what I'm getting? I'm getting hero's vibes from you here.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm a challenge person, and neither Jam Jam or Carolyn have done any good in any challenges.
He won the last gas.
I know he did. I know. No, I knew you were gonna say that. I think Heidi's stronger. I think that she had potential, for some better stuff. I think she will make a turn in the last episode. I think she's gonna do something big. Actually, I think maybe she'll win the first immunity and actually make a move. That's my hope. I want Heidi to win. Who I think's gonna win? I'm gonna go with Carolyn.
That's beautiful.
Chris?
All right, so I kind of have said both already, but I'll just again say I personally want Carolyn to win. I think Carolyn winning this season definitely is going to put it higher than a top 15 season. Definitely is going to break into the top 10, in my opinion. I don't know exactly where I would have to put it, but it would be a top tier season to have Carolyn come into this season because she's owned this season. This has been Carolyn's season, in my opinion. And for me, the characters that I love, you love the Euros, you love the challenge beasts out there, Kayla. I love the people that I misjudge. I get them and I'm like, this person, too cookie for me. I don't know if I can like Carolyn in the first episode. Second episode, I'm like, I got it. Now I know why you casted her. She's magnificent, and you cannot put her in a box. She is an archetype of her own on the show, which is great. And I think if she gets to the end, we'll remember this season. And we desperately need to remember seasons that don't have themes because, 10, 15 seasons from now, we're not going to remember some of these seasons because there's not going to be anything that stands out for us. But Carolyn can make this a memorable season. So I want her to win the season. This is her season. Who I think is going to win is Yam Yam. And I've been thinking that since the beginning of the show. Like I said, it's just, I feel like the edit is portraying him in a way where it wants us to get behind him. It wants us to feel bad for Yam Yam being at the bottom. It wants us to feel bad when he gets betrayed by Carolyn. Even when he's thinking about betraying Carolyn, we always hear him saying, well, we've already betrayed both of each other. We've betrayed each other, already. And this is a heart over head type of decision or a head over heart type of decision. So it wants us to empathize with him so that when he makes this cut on our favorite, Carolyn, out there, we're going to get where it's coming from. We're not going to hate him for it. And why is the edit doing that? Why are they protecting Yam Yam? In my opinion, it's not because he's played, I don't think he's played a bad game, but I feel like he's played a lieutenant game at this point. But I feel like the edit is telling us this is the guy. So I'm going to back Yam Yam all the way. And I badly want bragging rights for picking him first this season as well. So, that's why I'm going to sort of, put all my money. I'm putting it all on Yam Yam to win. But Carolyn is the person I want to win, for the record.
Family.
I feel similarly, actually, with everyone's sentiments. This is so beautiful. So, I would love. I'm conflicted because, as you all know, we're in a fantasy league. Chris, you have to join it next time. Very exciting. And we choose 2 power players. Super proud of myself at the start. These are the people who are just going to make the most dynamic moves. If they're winning challenges, if they're finding idols, if they, even little things like reading tree mail, stuff like that. Just people who have a big feature. And super proud of myself because my first pick was Jam Jam. I needed Jam Jam on my team. I knew that. I figured he was super featured. And then I also chose Lauren. Because I loved her. I figured that she was someone who she wasn't even featured that much in the pre stuff, but she was someone who I could tell people would really gravitate towards. And I did in the limited scope that we were given of Lauren, I really gravitated towards her as well.
She was my preseason crush, by the way. So we're on the same wavelength.
Look at us. What a day we've had coming together.
It's insane. After the first time we disagreed on everything, this time we're agreeing on everything.
I know. We're BFFs. It officially happened. Can you believe? So I those were my people. Now, and I didn't choose Carolyn originally because my fear was that the last season they all saw, all of 44, was 42, where Marianne was the winner. And I felt like that would leave a very dynamic impression on them. And because of that, she, while being very beloved, wouldn't make it very far. I'm glad that I was proven wrong. I'm really excited to see her. And I want her to win a lot just because of everything that you've said, Chris. You said such a great platform. I don't need to repeat myself. But I also can't let her win in my heart of hearts because my boyfriend chose her as his winner pick. And if he wins the first time he's in the season, he'll be dead to me. It'll be terrible. But I love her. And I would love to see America's Sweetheart win in her own right. The person that I think is going to win, I do think that it's Jam Jam. I just really feel like he's been just so present. We've been really advocating as a survivor base to see more of a present winner in the edit. And they've been listening to a lot of the feedback from a lot of the fans, with the hourglass of time and, yada, yada, yada. So I would love to be able to see him really rise from the ashes and make that dynamic move. They've been hinting at him getting rid of Carolyn. I'm wondering if that's what's going to be his big move in the final 5. So yeah, that's my.
Plus, he's the only person left in the game that have had match chat with Jeff in the opening scene, and apparently the last couple of winners that have won the show have all had match chat with him. So if it's that obvious, Jeff's going to have to change his editing style. That's all I'm going to say. He's going to have to change something.
Yeah. I want Carolyn to win. I think that Heidi's going to win. And once again, I'm being smug about it, but if I was just playing a character, I'm not going to sit here and actually rub it in people's faces. But I do feel I don't trust Survivor to not edit people, the winner, especially the female winner in last season's case, Gabler, correctly. And so when Heidi wins, and there is an inevitable backlash from the Erica haters that have been hiding under their rocks over the last couple of years to come back out and said she didn't deserve it. It should have been, they should have brought Xander back and he would have won this season, or some bullshit like that. It's going to be like, how are you guys still surprised all these years later that this happens and that they don't know how to show this to you? So that's just what's the word? I'm not optimistic about it. I guess the pessimist in me. But yes, I want Carolyn to win. I think that much like Chris, the beginning of the season, I'm like, okay, like she's fun, whatever. But as she's really started to grow on me, basically episode 2, 3 on. And I think one of the reasons that she grew on me was because I saw her getting so much backlash online, which a lot of those people have started to shut up too. I really like, I feel like I related to her, and I don't usually relate, to the character on the season. I usually relate to specific players. So I do feel like that is the type of winner that, yes, maybe Survivor needs at this point. And I feel like she might end up being one of those people that when people apply for the show, it's like, I want to play like Carolyn. I do see her as that person for this season. Overall, I know that the people don't like post 40 season. I have really enjoyed this. It's been very.
I think I just want to add to that, Coach. I don't think it's that people don't like. Yes, they don't enjoy post 40, but the reason they don't enjoy post 40 is not because of the cast. Everybody consistently talks about how great the cast is. It's just, I don't know. Jeff's going through like a late midlife crisis at the moment on the show, and he's just like trying to change things up for some other reason. I know Em, you said you listened to his podcast. I found it hard to listen after the point where he started talking about how he now makes the show for kids and he doesn't make it for grown-ups anymore. To me, it's like you've lost the plot, because when I started watching the show, I was 10 years old and I watched the grown-up version of the show. That's what made me fall in love with it. In fact, one of the great things about Survivor is that I could watch it as a 10-year-old kid, see Richard Hatch win, be really angry about it because the villain won. Why did the villain win? The villain should never win on these shows, right? And then go back 10 years later to watch it and appreciate Richard's game. True. Because now I understand. I'm grown up. I can look at it and say, wow, he was so far ahead of his time, and there was intricacies to his game I didn't get as a 10-year-old. You don't need to dumb the game down, Jeff. You don't need to make it a carnival trick and throw all these trinkets into the game. He's got good ideas, and I know his heart's in the right place. When I listen to the podcast, I can hear the passion in his voice, and that makes me want to shout for Jeff to get it right again, because I don't want to bag on him every single season. But he needs to change things around. So that's why people don't like it, Drew. It's because of the format of the show more so than the cast. Right. I think the casts have been slam dunks since season 40, and they should continue down that road, but just let people play, because all these cast members they're bringing on, they're all fans. Carolyn's a great example. She's played all the orgs. That's why strategically she's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And to me, kind of piggybacking off of that, I will eat every season up like a piece of cake. I'll be in there. I don't care. If it's season 60 and it's they threw this other crazy twist in there and everyone hates it. I don't care. Everyone's still gonna.
We get to final 6. They bring Boston Rob out. He's in his 70s, and they're like, he now joins the game.
I'll be let's freaking go. I'm 50. But I'll be there. I'll have everyone crammed in my janky little apartment. We're still gonna be having snacks, chowing down, talking smack.
Do it for Amber.
Yeah. And your grandkids.
But to me, my hope is that they kind of reverse the thinking of taking away some of the classics and then bringing in things that aren't going to be favorable. Taking away the family visits was a big thing for me. I would have loved to see more of that. I'd love to see the differentiation between the 26 versus 39 day. I'm starting to kind of see how it impacts players in a different way.
Taking away the food, making them lethargic so that they can't think strategically, can't perform in immunity challenges. I mean, look at this last immunity challenge. It was horrible. 4 out of the 6 people dropped out before they even got to the second section of the challenge. It's like, who wants to see that, Jeff? No one wants to see that. You know?
Right.
And the excuse is we've gone to 26 days, which no one likes. That's why we have to take the food away.
Right.
Just,
And I know and I understand and respect that it was a COVID protocol. I would love to be able to see them kind of bring back some of the classic challenges though, because that's what really brought everyone into the show in the first place, you know? So maybe more of like the players giving more room for the players to think strategically as opposed to just throwing in like little trinkets.
Get two people up there with tackle bags, knocking each other again off
all
the podium.
Give them a mud pit. That's all I want.
The only reason I don't think they'll ever bring that back is because of all the stuff that's come out about concussion since the last time they did that challenge, which I believe was in Blood versus Water, I think. So I don't see that happening, but and I'll say this, because I do agree. Let's just simplify it a little bit. And this is like one of the things is people are like, oh, they just need to do a back to basic season. They're never doing a back to basic season. They are never doing a back. If they did a back to like 2010.
You know what they should do, Drew? You know what they should do? Sorry, I know you're on your riff there, but I watched the challenge, right? And I also covered the challenge on my channel a lot. And I think that the challenge is kicking Survivor's butt in so many ways right now as a competitive reality TV show. And one of the reasons for that is because they give all of their fans something to enjoy. They currently have spin-off shows that run on Paramount Plus. Why don't we get a spin-off of Survivor? We call it Survivor Classic, like they've done with the challenge. They put it on Paramount Plus, direct to streaming. Get a new host, make it Colby Donaldson, Boston Rob, start getting Rob's sister Nino, get different previous players to host each season so they can start working on that next host. So this is a breeding ground for the next host. Plus, it is a throwback to the classics. It's more old school for those fans that have left the show, that don't watch it anymore. And I know people are saying that it's due to it being, you can watch it whenever you want now. And that's why the numbers have fallen. But it doesn't explain how we've gotten from, 40, 60 million people down to 6 million people. You can't tell me that all those people are still watching the show. A lot of them have left. And there is some validity to the argument that people would like to see a more classic Survivor show.
Yeah.
We've got Paramount Plus. Why not put it on there? I'm sure with the writer's strike happening, with so many different things going on right now, they can find the time to put it on there. But the problem for me with Survivor, and this is a real pet peeve that I have, I don't think any of the decisions they've made recently have been in favor of the fans. I think it's been due to budget cuts and them trying to spend less money. And doing an extra show might be the reason they wouldn't do it. But you could easily use the same challenges. You could easily use the same location. Like, they're already building these things. I feel like somewhere there's something that they can do, because the challenge is doing it. They've got the main show. Then they've got All Stars, which is for the OGs, the people they haven't seen in like a long time. They now compete on Paramount Plus directly. Plus, guess what? They're also doing World Championships. We've been asking for so long, get Survivor South Africa, Australian Survivor, and Survivor US involved and do the Ultimate Showdown. So I feel like surely they need some people in there that creatively can work with Jeff and give him some ideas so they can start working towards something. Because I know it's a lot of rambling, but I feel like somewhere in there's gold,
Yeah. Absolutely. And the still 6 million is 6 million. Like, I really do feel like you can kind of rebuild into something that would really help to benefit so many other viewers and bring them back,
Especially if you've got like a Colby Donaldson from season 2. I know a lot of people don't like him as much anymore, but he's one of the first heroes. When they still had like 60 million, 40 million people watching it, everybody knows who Colby is. Boston Rob, same. People will come back and watch it if they were to host the show that is more traditional, that is seen as this is the tough version of Survivor, where we still do the sandbag thing and we knock each other. I mean, look at Bruce, man. Like, Bruce is all right. He's already got a concussion even when they try to change the rules, So I don't know if it's really protecting people all that much,
Yeah, and I will say the reason I got into Survivor Australia was, one, because I watched Survivor South Africa and I really enjoyed it. But two, because I saw that Sandra was going to be on a season. It's like, okay, let's see what this is about. Yeah. And then I watched Heroes vs. Villains last season, or at least most of it. I am still working my way through it. I know who wins, so I kind of slowed down.
50 days.
Yeah. But I do feel like if and when they do inevitably do another returning season,
it'll be 46. It's not going to be 45. I'm devastated. I'm so sad.
I do think that they should at least look into, for all we know, they've already looked into it, but look into bringing some of these people from overseas, because I much like what Krista said about the challenge. I feel like a lot of Survivor fans in the last 3 years have started watching more Australia and South Africa, specifically
Yeah.
Australia. And, at first it comes off as very pompous when they're online saying, Survivor Australia is so much better because of this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, whatever. And then you watch it, and it's like, okay, yeah, I really enjoy this. I'm not going to go around saying that one's better than the other. But
They both have their flaws. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think that a lot of Australian Survivor fans look away from some of the flaws that Australian Survivor has got. But I understand at least why that opinion is out there, because it is really pushing Survivor US right now.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, because Survivor US, even with its lower budget, still probably has 10 times the money to spend than what Australian Survivor has.
Exactly. That was a weird tangent that we just went down. But
It was worthy. We were right.
but it was,
Yeah.
but
It's good. It's good to vent about these things. Drew, I really hope before we finish this, because I don't know when you're going to finish it, let's talk about like the All-Stars. Who would you want to get back in, Drew? If you could choose from this new era, previous era, would you like to see old school versus new school? I personally want to see a tribe of post 40 against the tribe of pre 40. That to me, I think would be great. But where do you guys sit on it? Who would you like to see?
I feel like for me personally, like it wouldn't even be just post 40. Like I know they're like trying to label that as a new era, but like justice for David versus Goliath, because like they still haven't had
Yes.
a chance to have this redemption season or a returnee season. And it feels like they've already kind of pulled the plug on them, which like doesn't feel right in my heart of hearts,
Yeah.
I would love to see like maybe like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like an obscure number, but I would say like at least like 38 onward. And we already know like we have the Tika 3 have to come back. I'm trying to think people that like really like brought like.
I don't need to see the winner back. I don't need to see
Yeah.
the winner out of the Tika 3. I'm not a big fan on seeing winners come back on seasons when they're like the only winner or there's only like 3 winners on the season. Rather just don't do it. If you want to do winners, have winners versus those that haven't won. So one tribe of winners versus those that haven't won, or bring winners at War 2, but don't bring like one. Like that's why it's sad, because we may not, if they're going to go down that road, we may not see Marianne out there again. You know?
Right.
And it would be great to see her again. But surely we can put her in a winners versus runner-up season or something else that gives her a fair shot. Like I just don't like to see winners being wasted on a returnee cast.
Absolutely. There's so much of a variety, especially now. Like I really do wonder, like, because like even if you think about like early like old school Survivor, there was more of a focus on like specifically I feel like more like just like physical fitness, and then like with the hope of like some like social strategy. And now I feel like it's been like kind of reverse. And so I would love to see like if you kind of brought back some of those traditional themes, how old school would compare to new school, Kayla,
before I answer, Kayla, do you want to answer the question?
Who would you like to see come back? Like, who would you like to see play again?
You already know. Jonathan.
Yes, another Jonathan Stan. Let's go. I'm sure I admire him for different reasons, but
I do say that if they were to do it, if they were to the next returnee season, let's just say it's 46. I do feel like when most of the casting pool will come from 35 on.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, I do feel like most of that cast pre-40 will come from 37 and 38, because 35 is not going to, I don't think anyone's clamoring for Cole to come back or, anything like that.
No.
And then with 39, they're going to do their best to bury that season as long as they can, even though that cast was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Post 40, I think that the internet will clamor it until they go mute. We have to have Xander back, the Great White Hope. We've got to have him back, so they'll bring Xander back. And
Xander is 100% going to be a 3-4 time player. Like he's the new Aussie.
Yeah.
Like it's going to happen.
He's the new Aussie, except for the whole winning challenges thing.
He just looks like him.
They'll bring either Shan or Ricard back. Not at the same time, and probably both at a different point. Let's just say we're doing 46. They'll bring either one of them back. 42, they will bring back
Drea.
Homer. No, let's say no winners. Let's just say no winners for now, for 46.
Mm-hmm.
I think Omer, once again, I don't think you can bring Omer and Drea back. So let's say Omer, I'm just kidding. Omer, I feel like High could be someone that they bring back, and Mike Turner. Please God, no Jonathan ever again. Even though we all know that Jonathan is going to come back. We
Jonathan's
all
coming
know
back.
Jonathan's coming
He's
back.
coming back.
You do realize that I think the best evidence that is out there that Jonathan's coming back is the fact that he was supposed to be on the Challenge USA 2 and got pulled last minute.
Did
Why?
he get a concussion or something?
Ooh.
No, he didn't get a concussion. But I'm
He
pretty
was
sure
at,
Survivor said we want him back. So he's not going to go do the USA 2 season for the challenge.
He was at the Pittsburgh viewing party in April. We met him. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. He seems to be a super great guy, like outside of it. I don't know why people dislike him, but
I think I just
know.
hated his no offense. I hated his fans. It was just more just
Kayla?
like the Xander thing.
I was not like that. You know, I'm a challenge
just like
person. He
Xander
was
was
bringing
like,
them
"Oh,
in the
man."
ocean on his own. No, I like that.
I didn't mind Xander during the season, and then his fans just became unbearable. It's like, well, I think
and now
I
you
don't
dislike Xander.
Yeah, so yeah. Oh, but same with Jonathan. It's just like, oh man, these Facebook moms will not shut up about this man. And
I do agree. I do agree with the live chat, by the way, that they're all saying Roxroy should come back. I love Roxroy. I'd be happy to have him back on the show.
I'm sure his cast would love to have him back too, because apparently he just kind of ghosted everyone after they
He
left.
really.
Oh.
It's like a true dad fashion. You know?
Did you see Zach's like thing about
Yes,
who would have been
he
the
messaged
original
Roxroy.
season 41? And Roxroy's got got a photo of him and there's like no photo. It's like just this anonymous avatar when he had him on the
I
screen.
love you.
From 43, we're definitely getting Jesse back. We probably get Cody back. And then for 44, yeah, I feel like the Tika 3, unless there is a winner in those 3. And then maybe someone like well, she wasn't on 44, but Ellie from 43, just because I want her back. But I do feel like the majority of the cast from their next All-Star season is going to be from 35 onwards. I think that Winners at War was a nice little bow on most of the people from not even from pre-20, but pre-30. Like, we're probably never going to see most of those people again. Now, we might have another All-Star season down the line where they bring people back from post-30. Or they'll just bring Jeff Varner back again because apparently we needed him 3 times. Having said that, I do feel like David vs. Goliath is going to show up big time, and David vs. Goliath and Edge of Extinction are going to show up big time in whatever cast that we get next. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we won't talk about this now, but the 45 cast has kind of been leaked-ish.
Yeah,
Leaked. It's not even ish. The 45 cast has been leaked. If it's true. But I feel like 46 will be filming in a couple of weeks, and I feel like we're gonna randomly lose a certain Survivor players on Twitter for a while, and that's all that is to that. But we're gonna wrap up. So overall, it's been a fun season, and this is not the finale, but it has been a fun season. I know that it's been a weird season here on the show, but we've kind of went through it. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you two for joining us. I appreciate everyone that has joined us during the season, especially coming off of 42 and 42 last summer. I was kind of Survivor burnt out by the time 43 came out. And we've kind of just kept on going. And I plan on, and I know Emily plans on continuing this in whatever forum. So stay tuned for this after the finale. I think I want to do one project this summer. Nothing as large as 42 and 42, but
really,
I do want to do a project.
44?
No, I'm gonna wait till 50 to do 50 and 50. I'm not doing 44 and 44. I have no time. Check out Chris on the Nullified Take. He has 2 channels now. So we'll have both links to that in the description. Chris, what do you have coming up soon?
Quite a lot actually. So we've got three lives coming up this week. So the challenge is just finished, but we decided to do an end of season power ranking, or basically like a tier ranking of how the players performed. Spoiler alert: Danny McRae has become an absolute legend in this last season. Like, if you loved him on Survivor, you should start watching the challenge because he turned it on this last season. I'm a big Danny stan right now. Also, we will be talking about the final power rankings for the season, myself and Kahuna on the Nullified Take channel, and we're going to predict who we think is going to win. So for those that have listened to this, it might be a little bit boring because you'll kind of know who I think is going to win the season. But we also have our finale recap with the Survivor Scholars as guests this week as well. So that should be really exciting as well. And quite a lot happening on the channel in regards to $1 Million Island Australia. That's airing very soon. It's a bit of a mix between Squid Games and also Survivor. It looks really exciting. So we're going to be covering that on the channel. And Coach Drew, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Traitors Season 2 for Australia is going to start very soon as well. And we now have the great Luke Toki as one of the contestants on that season. So we're going to have to cover that on the channel as well. So there's plenty more things coming up. So when you say you haven't had a break, Drew, I haven't had a break for 2 years. It's been going on the whole time. But check out the Nullified Take channel. We're very close to 2,000 subscribers. It's been a massive goal of mine this beginning of the year to try and get to 2,000 subscribers. So, if we can get there, it'll be really exciting. We'd probably do a giveaway or something like that. But it's been fun talking to all of you. We're definitely going to have to do this again in the near future.
I would love that. We loved having you both. So thank you guys so much for giving us your Sunday. So exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all in the chat. That is hold on. I just got to put this there because that is a horrible take. Let it pop up. Oh, goodness.
No, Jay.
Yeah. No. Barring a few bad things, it was not. It was not. Thailand is the worst season of Survivor ever.
We still love you. We still love you.
There's no saving that season. But thank you for your hot take. So
this is what I love about Survivor, by the way. This is what I love about Survivor is that everybody has got their favorites and everybody's got their favorite seasons. And that's what makes this fandom so cool. Like, if we could just be accepting of the fact that everybody loves something different about the show. And that's why we keep coming back 44 seasons, 45 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Here's to more seasons. Here's to season 45. You guys.
Well, if we get to 50, we got to get to 100 somehow. That's all I'm saying.
Of course. We're already halfway there, basically.
We will see you all on the other side.
Bye.
If it'll ever let me sign out. There we go.